Tanisha Christensen, and I'm here with Ruth Liebel. Hello, Ruth, and thanks for joining me.
Hi, how are you?
Doing
Good.
awesome, thank you. Yeah, all the things, right? We are going to be chatting a little bit about the Art of Expansion event that we are putting on together and going to be speaking at in Orem, Utah on March 14th and 15th. Super excited. It's a business event, an event for entrepreneurs who want to figure out more about their businesses and get some help, get some support. We have people that are going to be there from all over the country, talking about a variety of business topics, one of which is going to be Ruth. And I'm so excited to have her share with us a little bit about her topic and maybe a few little nuggets and tips that she can share with us beforehand. So, Ruth, tell us a little about who you are, what you do, how you help people.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm new to the team. I think this event has been going on. Is it annual? What is it usually?
So Bronwyn Onschlager and Lark Gailey and I have collaborated on other events before, but we haven't done this one
This
in
specific one? Okay.
particular, specific one. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm honored to join on this
Yes.
project. That's gonna
We're
be really
so
fun.
happy to have you. It's a perfect addition.
Yeah.
You're
So I'm
talking
a financial
money.
coach. Yes, I'm a financial coach and I help people basically just clean up their financial crap. And money touches absolutely everything. Everything. In fact, I think the studies show that 70% of your stress can be brought down to financial stuff.
Oh
So that's
man.
why I mean, we are all pursuing money. We all know it's like how you get to trade for the
Live.
things that you want.
Yes, yes,
That's,
100%.
that's how you do it. And so, knowing how to manage it and making sure it goes where you worked so hard for it to go, that's key. And then I also help couples get on the same page, which is like a whole other
Which
branch.
is so cool and so important. So, so important, especially for entrepreneurs. And I feel like most of the attendees there and people watching are going to be, excuse me, female entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
And we feel like this, especially people that are like in the beginning. I know when we were in the beginning stages of my business, my husband supported me and supported the idea and everything, but it was hard when we needed to allocate family funds to help my business get going and stuff like that was challenging. And that was some really hard, good conversations, but really hard conversations to have.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, especially for women, I mean, the fact that the women now have like an equal seat of power in all the things, it's relatively new when you look at history. We've been
Yes.
doing it for a few decades, but I want to say it was even like in the 80s. Was it the 80s or the 70s? A woman still technically needed her husband or her father to sign off on her having an account. So
Hmm.
like things like that.
That's
So
great.
just learning to step into all the skill sets that usually are passed down generationally. Like
Yeah, I
that's
mean, we're looking at hundreds and thousands, not hundreds
yes,
of thousands, but hundreds and even thousands of years of just
yes.
programming and DNA. And like, no, this is how it's done. And so
Mhm.
a lot of women still feel like, oh,
Yeah. And a big thing that I deal with is because we're coming out of that traditional role of the wife stays at home, which I still identify as a stay-at-home mom. Like
yeah,
this is my
yeah.
thing that I do for funsie.
I'm the
Um,
same way. Someone a while, not like I'm much more in the business now and my kids are a bit older and stuff, but I remember years ago someone was like, well, and you work, like you're a working mom. And I'm like, I do? Like I am. And she's like, yeah, like your job. And I was like, oh yeah, that I guess that's true. Like you're right, I am a working mom, but
yeah,
I just identified as a stay-at-home mom with like this little side hustle, type of thing. So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah, a
just looked at that.
successful side hustle. But
Yeah.
that's what's so fun. And I think that's what where like you and I can tie in is we don't have to do it through a template. Like I just don't believe in a one size fits all template in anything that I do. I think that there are templates that you can start with or the templates you can use to see how it fits for you and what parts of it you like, but there's no one size fits all. So for us to do it like that, the older traditional way of like the man leaves the house and does his, I mean, now it's a 9 to 5, but 9 to 5 is even still relatively new. Like he
Right.
was like sun up to sundown or it was even seasonal, like he was gone all year and then he came back either in the wintertime or the summertime, whatever his seasonal downtime was to like pat the little wife on the head and some conjugal visits or whatever, right? Like, but then he was gone and women can't do it that way. We're just built to do it differently. So we can do it differently. We get to do our money differently. We get to do our businesses differently. We get to do our family differently. It's like a whole,
Oh,
the world's
it's
our oyster.
it's huge. And if we will open up to that it's okay if we do it
Yeah.
differently. It's okay if the way that I do it is different from you and different from whoever, you know what I mean? And just being able to be flexible and finding what works for us and our particular family and their needs and
Yep.
what feels good because we're all going to show up differently. And
Yep.
that's a good thing. I
Yeah.
love
And we'll even show up differently in different phases and different stages because we are evolving people, and our realization of our potential and the resources we have to make different options work, it changes.
100%, like
Yeah.
ages and stages, not to mention like just our monthly cycle, right? Like
Uh-huh.
those studies have shown that doctors that have been brave enough to do research on women and their hormones, because most doctors actually just try and like pretend that it's like not even a thing.
Hmm.
Like they just look
Yep.
at men when they're looking at all that type of stuff. But the doctors that have done research on that area, they literally over the course of your cycle and the 4 different phases that we go through, they what the research has shown is it literally, if they didn't know better, it would be 4 completely different women. That's
Yeah.
how different our hormone levels are throughout the month. And so when we try and expect to do the same thing day in and day out, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work.
That's so funny. I actually have this on my desk.
Oh, there you go. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, well, probably teenager, obviously teenager, and then like into college and then young mom, I thought maybe I was bipolar because I have these weeks where I can just do anything. Like I could just solve the world's problems. And then I have other weeks where I'm like, I don't want to get dressed. I thought I was bipolar. No,
Talk
I'm
to
just
anybody,
a woman.
anybody. Yeah, 100%, 100%, right?
Yeah.
And men don't have that. Men actually, so women are like the moon where we have this monthly cycle and we rotate monthly or shift monthly. Men are like the sun where it comes up and it goes down and it just does that every single day. So for them, it works to have a 9 to 5
Yes.
because that's going to be consistent every day. For us women, that's just not going to work.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yes. I totally,
100%.
totally feel that. I know I have 2 weeks of the month where I can solve all my problems, build my business, take all the clients I want to. And then I have to be careful those 2 weeks not to sign me up for stuff
During the other 2 weeks.
during the other 2 weeks. Yes.
100%, 100%. And this is, I feel like it's not mainstream yet, but people are talking about it more and at least being more aware of it in general. I don't know. I've been aware of it for years, and I'm a feminine energy business coach, and I even still don't really follow that like I could, really maximizing the blessings of following that schedule the way that I could. So, yeah, maybe goals for next year.
Yeah. Well, that's always stuff to learn.
For
And
sure.
it's the first time in history that women have not been, well, I don't know, my history, that women
Mhm.
have not just been viewed as the men light. Like this, the smaller, the 50-pound less version of a man. We're
Yeah,
just
it's
different.
amazing. It's amazing. There's so much feminine awakening and so much beautiful energy and opportunities and just it's incredible. I feel so blessed. So blessed.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think that's part of the secret of, as women start to like step into our stuff, we just create a whole other, because we care, like we care about, you'll invest in things that you care about. That's why there's so many different kinds of people in different situations, is we need to care about all the things, just not all the things at the same time.
Right? Right.
So if you have your specialty and I have my specialty, and Lark has her specialty, all the people have their specialty, as women start to like care, like dig into what they care about, what's relevant to their lives, then we just get to rise the tide for everybody.
Yep. Rising tide raises all ships,
Yeah.
100%. And when you were saying that, it reminded me of, a lot of times we think like, oh, there's already people out there that are doing that. Like, why would I start doing that? And I can't even remember where I heard it, but a long time ago, I heard this analogy of like, have you ever seen the bread aisle at the grocery store?
Oh,
How many different
yeah.
kinds of bread are there?
Yes.
Yet somebody is buying every one of those different kinds of breads, otherwise they wouldn't be there. So
Mhm.
we need you and the way that you do your specific niche or your, if it's like a financial goal or a feminine energy or excuse me, a financial coach or a feminine energy coach or whatever it is, we need Ruth and the way that Ruth is going to do this because you are going to attract certain people. You know what I mean? Differently than other people might. So
Yeah. I love that bread analogy. That's
I
that's
know,
exactly
right?
what it is. Because I was actually one of the lucky people that my parents taught me about money. My dad, he
Mhm.
grew up in an alcoholic home, and so he lived under, it was either steak or canned beans, just depending on what dad was doing, his dad was doing. And so he was paying his mom's mortgage at 14 years old.
Wow.
And I think he just, as we go through our lives, we get all the messaging and we come to the conclusions we come to. But it was really firm in his mind as a young kid, like it's my job to provide as the man. And then as he got older, he started to learn how to manage money and all the things. So I just benefited from that. And
Good.
I'm 5 of 6 kids. So my parents had had some of their money arguments, and my mom had learned from her parents that she was like, I'm just not going to carry money on a credit card because she watched her family stuff. So there was
Hmm.
still stuff my parents needed to work out, but them individually, they both brought different skill sets to the table that I got the benefit of learning from them. So when I was going to college trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, my narcissism was like, I want to bring world peace. Well, how do you bring world peace? Like what's really something I can do to bring world peace? And it's families, right? Like that's how you just one family. And then what do families need? Money. So I just thought, okay, I'm good with money. That's how I can help. I can just bring world peace, one personal budget at a time.
And it's so, so true. It's like the whole like money can't buy happiness, but it
Oh,
can
it really can. Up to it, they
quality.
can point to a dollar amount, but it really can. Yeah, I can't remember why I started telling this story. That's me.
Your family, money mindset, money stuff, being good with money. We were talking about the
Yes.
bread aisle
Oh, the
and
bread aisle. Okay. So I was like 3 months out from graduating from school because I got my degree in family finance. And I started having it was a friendly debate, totally respectful. I respect authority, like all the things. But we had a little debate with my mentor about the 30-year mortgage. Like I've done the math. If you carry your mortgage 30 years, you've paid for your house at least
at
twice.
least twice. Yep.
So is that really an investment? You can't not really like the true sense of investment. So that's the kind of what we were saying, like 30-year mortgages are kind of dumb if you're going to go for it like with that attitude. And so
Uh-huh.
she said, "Oh, you should have you heard of Dave Ramsey?" And this was 25 years, I don't remember how many years ago. This was at least 20 years ago. So it
Uh-huh.
was like right as I think he just came off Oprah. I don't remember. So he was just peaking at his like
Uh-huh.
new but
Uh-huh.
big. So I started listening to him and I was like, okay, yeah, he teaches a lot of the same stuff I teach. And it was deflating. It's like, well, he already did exactly what I wanted to do. Like his
Mm-hmm.
Financial Peace University, like he already did it. So it deflated me. And I was like, well, he's already done it. I can't do it now.
Yep.
So I set stuff aside for like 10 years because Dave Ramsey
Wow.
already had the market.
Wow.
But I actually worked with Dave, well, not like him personally, but I worked on his team as a Dave Ramsey coach. And there's
Oh,
a
that's
lot of
awesome.
stuff about Dave Ramsey I like, and there's a lot of stuff I don't like.
Yep.
And there's a lot of
100%.
stuff that people like about Dave Ramsey. There's a lot of stuff that people don't like.
Yep.
So I am actually really successful helping those kinds of people. They like Ish Dave, but they just don't like Ish Dave.
Okay, have
And
you
that's
heard
what
of
everybody can do is find their
yes.
niche.
Yes,
Yes.
find what works for you. Have you heard of on that note, have you heard of Garrett Gunderson and Killing Sacred Cows? Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Love that book.
Love, love,
Yes.
love. And it was actually reading that, listening to that book, Killing Sacred Cows, because in that he references, and we're not like out here to debate like Dave Ramsey or anybody, but it just made me think of this, like, because I love, love, love money stuff as well. I'm one of those
Yeah.
weird kids that like, when can I open a bank account? And my dad's like, "Play with your Barbies." I'm all like, I'm Capricorn. I don't know if you know anything about astrology, but I'm Capricorn, sun in my second house, conjunct my part of fortune, which is like money and finances is a huge part of how my brain works and what brings me joy. Um, but anyway, in Garrett Gunderson's book, Killing Sacred Cows, he talks about Dave Ramsey is really great for like, and I'm not saying this to be offensive or derogatory any means, but he's really great for like a low middle class, a low or like a lowish middle class who just are like trying to figure out like the basics, right? And that's just like common sense type of stuff. But you're not going to get wealthy following his principles. Like you will eventually pay off your mortgage and all those things, right? And I'd be curious your thoughts on this because I always tell my husband, I'm like, I get it, but if you've lived your life rice and beans, beans and rice, then all of a sudden when you have your house paid off and you have extra money, guess what? That's still your mindset. Rice and beans, beans and rice. We work to survive. We only work. Like you're not all of a sudden going to flip into like, and now we're going to enjoy our wealth, and now we're going to do this. Like you're still in that mindset. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So what I have deduced in my whatever I get to deduce credibility,
mhm.
um, Dave Ramsey comes from his position. Dave Ramsey has an abundant mindset. Dave Ramsey has a go-getter mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Ramsey also comes from like he's like a debt addict,
Mm.
right? So like he's his
He's teaching people to avoid that at all costs.
yeah, so his hard stance against debt is because he understands it's like somebody who's come from alcoholism to
Yes. And
have their
just
like
like
no alcohol policy.
100%.
Um, because from his experience and from a family, like I have no alcohol policy because of my family history. Like I just probably should never have a single drink because I probably wouldn't stop at a single drink. But there are a lot of people that can have a single drink. And there are a lot of people who can have a credit card. I had a
Yep.
credit card in college, never carried a balance. I've never paid a cent of interest. So I think it's knowing yourself. So Dave Ramsey comes from his angle
Yeah.
with his perspective. But
And the
if
people
you
that need
come,
that will find him.
yes, but if you come with a scarcity mindset to Dave Ramsey, and think this is a lifestyle, well, Dave Ramsey teaches, no, this is just for now until you clean up your debt and reclaim your income. So people hear his message in a funnel.
Yeah.
And they either never come out of that phase, like they never actually break up with it, to come out into like, now I have money to grow and invest and do things with.
Mhm. Yes.
If they stay in that baby step 2 mindset, that's gross.
Yeah.
So in his defense, I will say he never intended for that to be his message, but he's so good at telling that message. That's all people hear.
Right. Right. And some like I needed that message at the time. Like that,
Yeah.
like discovering Dave Ramsey and all his stuff like that really, really helped us in our early years. Now we have all sorts of debt because we're real estate investors. You know what I mean? And so we're like doing all the things all the time, but we have, and I love like one of my favorite analogies is uh someone who wins the lottery. I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a really high percentage that within like a certain amount of like months or years, they're actually right back where they were before
Or
that or
worse.
worse. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it's because they went from like zero to millions overnight without the education and the training to help them know how to support. Like they don't have the capacity to sustain that lifestyle of what that could be and what they could do. They just don't have, they don't know. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the experience, right? So it's
Yeah.
actually not very kind. And I can look back in my journey of like learning about money and learning about like energy and manifesting and creating and like my dreams and desires and stuff and being so frustrated that it didn't happen faster and it didn't
Mhm.
happen like when I thought it would. Like I learned all the things and I implemented it and then I didn't happen, right? Like as far
Yeah.
as like money mindset and like all the different things. And now like on the clear other side, like so far different from that, I can look back, excuse me, and connect the dots and be like, oh, it actually would not have been. I'm very God-centered, so I'm not talking about God and Jesus and stuff, but I'm like, it actually wouldn't have been very nice or loving of God to have brought us that amount of money we were trying to manifest at that time
Mhm.
because we didn't have the capacity to sustain it. We didn't have any of the education. Like it would have been like just a mess, you know? And now, years and years later, I'm like, oh, now I can see why it's all coming together now because we've had years of training and experience and knowledge, and we're at the capacity where we can handle that. And before we just weren't.
Yeah. And I love that. And it's so true. And I would even take it a step farther because it's it's you actually have to create it. So
To create the avenue, the channels, the opportunity for it
yes,
to
so
come.
your money grows as you grow.
Yes,
Your
100%,
money grows because you grow. You're
100%.
growing as a person who knows how to create money and manage
Exactly.
money. And it's
Exactly.
so tied to relationships. Like that's one of my big
Yes.
things is it's
Yes.
actually your relationships. It's your
100%.
self-development and your relationships.
Yep.
That's where money
I
comes
think comes
from.
from 100%. I agree 100%.
And so like some of our biggest trials in life is actually either blessings at too high of a quantity or too fast, or sometimes
Yep.
both. Like if
Yep.
you think children, you're a mom, right?
Yeah, I have
I'm
five
a
boys.
mom too. Kids are the most incredible thing ever, like the greatest blessing ever. But if you give a child to somebody too soon or at too many, like moms who
And
have 10 babies, like talk about a trial, or a mother at 14, talk about a trial. That baby is still a blessing. It's just too much too fast. So if you get money too fast, too soon, too big, that you can't handle it, it will crush you.
without the supports, like a mom that has all those kids and has
Yes.
a nanny or has a live-in maid or you know
Yep.
like has a support in place, then they're fine, right?
Yep.
But if it were
Yep.
happening overnight, yeah, come and the same
Yeah.
with our
If
money.
she's created a world of in a person that she can handle it.
Yep.
And I think, each mom gets to decide. I have 4 kids because I'm a 4-kid mom. I was probably a 3.5 kid mom, but
But
I
here you
heard,
are.
but I hear kids are like beers. You know you've had enough when you've had one too many. But you grow into it, right? Like if I were to have 4 kids that first time, oh my
Oh,
gosh, it would melt me. But
for
one
sure.
at a time, I grow into it. And now when I only have 1 kid, I'm like, this is child's play.
So easy,
And
right?
somebody who has 12 kids, if they were to have 4 kids, they'd be like, this is child's play.
Yep, exactly. We always say
Yeah.
that so touch, but yeah, anytime that we're just like home with like one or two of the kids, I'm always like, what if this was our life? This would be so boring and it's so easy. You know what I mean? But you never feel that way. I didn't feel that way when I had just 2 kids. I was
When it
like,
was just 2. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
how am I doing this? So
Well,
100.
I did for a minute and then I got pregnant with number 3.
And then you're like, oh, now what are we gonna do? Oh
Yeah,
man, I
that's
can
what
totally
you
identify with that.
do.
So bringing this back, like the event, that's what we're going to be doing is we're helping
Yes.
people get the education, get the experience, get the resources, and get the networking, get those, develop those relationships, connect with other people, like all those things, right? So knowledge and relationships, and that's going to help you to create the money that you want.
Yep. And to expand into whatever it is. I love that word. I love that. It's just whatever your expansion is. Maybe it's going to be you need to just learn how to talk to people better or network better. Maybe it's going to be how to social media, or maybe it's do a budget, or maybe it's how to tap into your feminine energy. Like whatever it is that you feel is your place, that's your either your weak spot or you're feeling if in this area I could do this better, it would make a big difference in my life.
Yeah.
That's the place you need to expand. And it's
Yep.
all going to be there.
Yep.
I think it's going to be very exciting.
100%. 100%. And I always love to remind people, so my podcast is called You Know How This Ends. Because it's like all you have to do to get your goals is just keep going. Like you know how this ends. This ends with you receiving your desires and your goals, whatever that's look like, whatever that looks like. All you have to do to get there is just not quit. All you have to do is just keep going. Keep
I love
implementing,
that.
keep adding, keep learning, keep making the connections. Just keep going and you will get there. There's
Yeah,
no other way.
I love
Right.
that.
But
Yep.
so many of us get frustrated or we're like, it's not working. And so we quit or we try something else. And that's all part of the process. I am like, and you'll totally get this. I'm like, entrepreneurship, building a business is the biggest roller coaster you will ever be in. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. It will require all the skeletons to come out of your closet. It will require like more personal development than anything you could do in other ways, maybe with the exception of marriage and parenting.
Yeah. Well, because the evidence is so undeniable.
Mm,
It is undeniable. If your business is not successful, it is undeniable that there's something you need to grow in. You can't hide that.
100%.
And if your kids are miserable, or if your kids are like, you cannot hide those things. Sometimes you can get away with it for a while, but there's going to be a period of time. All of those things,
It's going to
like
come out.
yeah, it's undeniable.
100%. So maybe to wrap up, Ruth, what do you feel like give us a little nugget, like something that people will be excited to come and hear you speak about? What would be like if you had one thing to share? It's like, remember this or do this.
Oh, I
I'm
like that question.
bringing that on. I know I'm like, oh.
There's a lot of stuff that I am actually really proud of in my business that's come. It's unique content because the biggest question that I've always asked myself as I've learned to manage money and learned to um, help different kinds of people in different kinds of scenarios is I always just ask, well, how does God do it? And
Oh,
so that's one of the
my language.
biggest things that I teach from. I'm very Christian to the core. I was raised LDS, but my kids were raised in the South. And so from that, I've just gotten to see a very eclectic, instead of this way to see God and Jesus Christ, I see it, and just
Yes.
all anyway. So I just asked that question, how does God do it? And I teach scripturally and culturally and all the things of exactly how God wants you to manage your money and why in
Yes.
the most
Love, love,
abundant way
love.
possible. So
You're
I'm going to share some
speaking my language.
stories and stuff in the,
Love that.
yeah.
Love that. Where can people find you and connect with you, Ruth?
Well, I have an Instagram
Okay.
just at Ruth Liebel. I'm on Facebook sort of, but I would just say talk to me directly, Ruth at Ruth Liebel Coaching. femininity.com. Just email me. It's
You
just
said
really
you had
kind
a
of
channel. Is that what you're meaning? Like yours?
YouTube. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think it's Ruth Liebel Coaching at Ruth Liebel Coaching.
Very cool. Very,
Yeah.
very cool. Because I know there's a lot of people that can be like, I need help with this. Help me understand this. And especially that piece about, I found, because so my tagline is I help Christ-centered female entrepreneurs
Mhm.
release financial frustration and get into feminine flow, something kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because when I've had so many people be like, did you say Christ-centered female entrepreneurs? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, because I've had people that have got into my programs and then ask for refunds because they don't realize like how, and I'm not churchy, like I'm not denominational, but I'm like, God is the CEO of my business and like he's a
Mhm.
full partner in what I do. And I'm going to share that all day long. Right. So if that's
Yeah.
not your jam, like you probably don't
Yeah.
want to be like hiring me to be your coach and be in my community that closely, right? Because it's just not going to resonate with you. And I always tell people, I'm
Yeah.
like, source energy, universe, like it's all the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. Don't get hung up on my words, right? So I love that you. Anyway, I found that it either like really draws in the people are like, yes, like with you, I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
you're speaking my language. Or they're like, yeah, I'm probably gonna go find someone else. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah. That's great because there are lots of other people doing it too.
Exactly. There's lots of
And
bread in the grocery aisle.
there's lots of bread. Go find the one that you love the most. Go do that. That's
I
what you
like
want.
crunchy. What kind of bread do you like? I like this kind of random. I like the wheatier and like the more dense and crunchy, the better for me.
Yeah, I have split. I either like the Dave's, like that seedy
Yeah, the Dave
bread.
Killer bread. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, or I like Granny Smith, just the white Granny Smith.
So, so good, right? Nothing better in
Yeah.
my mind than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on some really delicious bread. I'm like, I could live on that and die happy.
Yes.
Anyways,
Yeah.
super off the topic, but there you go. So drop in the comments what your favorite kind of bread is if you're watching this. And what your niche is and just all the things. And we're excited to have you come to the Art of Expansion. You can connect with Ruth or I and get a discount ticket to come to it. Do you still have a couple discount tickets available,
Yep.
Ruth?
I have yes. I have a some are spoken to, but they haven't grabbed. So come if
Gotcha.
you're gonna grab it, first
Yeah.
come, first serve.
Discount, exactly.
Bird in
100%.
the hand.
Okay. All right. So nice to connect with you, Ruth, and we'll see you at the event. Thank
You
you,
too.
everybody, for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.